Lae is Papua New Guinea's fastest growing city with economic activity that has meant millions of kina worth of investments coming into a city that's fast becoming PNG's leading industrial hub. But that growth means increased pressure on vital services to safeguard those who work and live in Lae, as well as the infrastructures built to support operations.
Our current government has made commitment to support the fire service. And those of you that were in Lae when the Prime Minister was in Lae would have noted that he made a commitment to support the fire service.
In the last 2 years, there has been 16 fires in Lae City. In February 2014, the Pelgens warehouse, and several weeks later, the Bougainville Home Center destroyed by fire. In May, the Kalapak building also destroyed by fire. The following months, another 13 fires that included a residential home at the Sandpiper Road, where a boy was killed. These pictures show the Pelgens fire, Lae firemen struggling to put out the blaze with the same old equipment as the owner of the business looks on.
The fire trucks are doing what they're able and capable of doing. So we can't scream at them, we can only thank them for being here, for what they're doing so far.
The fire drew attention from Morobe Governor Kelly Naru, who called on the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill for 100 million kina funding to revamp the Lae Fire Service that would include one more fire station, new training and equipment. In May 2014, Governor Naru said the Prime Minister was very receptive to the idea.
Prime Minister was very receptive, but I think he indicated that what he would rather prefer is for a total fire rollout program throughout the country.
The 16 fires in the space of 2 years has gained political attention. In October 2014, the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said this when confronted with questions about the ailing state of the PNG Fire Service.
So we are going to increase the number of equipments that they've got, training that they have, so that we can respond to many of these emergencies on a timely basis. We want to also expand the fire services capacity to include other emergencies, when there's flooding, when there's bushfires, when there's accidents.
On the 8th of March, Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion, who holds the Intergovernment Relations portfolio in charge of the PNG Fire Service, said a proposal will be tabled to NEC.
To the National Executive Council for them to consider financial assistance at the first place, and also recognizing the expertise from our side to come in.
Nothing has been done yet to fix the problem. This year, 4 more fires in Lae, taking the total count to 16. While the Lae Fire Service remains under capacity to fight industrial fires, Lae businesses remain unprotected. They stand to lose millions of kina worth of investments. But what's most frightening is the lives that work for these companies could be lost if there is a fire incident. Lae residents also remain unprotected in their homes because of the fire risks. In May this year, 2 fires razed properties belonging to 2 prominent businesses. In these pictures, another Bougainville Home Center building in town being razed by fire. It showed yet again the Lae Fire Service struggling to contain fire with the same old equipment. 3 days later, the court showroom at the market area also got burnt down. In 3 hours, millions of kina worth of properties destroyed within a week.
The Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Minister responsible for Fire Service, has made time available to support the initiatives of the Fire Service. So overall, the government is generally supportive of the initiative. They recognize the need for a fire service that needs to be meeting the need of our corporate community and our citizens.
2 months later, the Zing Zang store in the market area burnt down. This time, a life lost. The body of an expatriate woman was found in the ashes after the fire stopped. The fires have simply brought to light the safety of business houses and those working in industrial companies, when the Lae Fire Service still doesn't have the capacity to fight industrial fires. Having this in mind, companies like Trukai Industry have invested in this fire system commissioned last week with the Lae Fire Service. Trukai CEO Greg Worthington says the recent spate of fires happening in Lae City has forced them to invest in the fire system.
We have a big investment here and we want to protect it, and more importantly we want to protect our people. So what we've done is invested heavily in a fire system, a high pressure fire system that covers the entire site, and today we're launching it and training our fire wardens on its use, so that we hope we never have to use it, but if we do, we will be reasonably self-sufficient in putting out a potentially disastrous fire here.
The 1.7 million Kina fire system comes from an Australian contractor who specializes in building this system. The fire risks has forced other businesses like Paupindo to invest in their own fire trucks.
The New Britain Highway is tucked away in the Nakanai Range and inland Baining Peninsula of the New Britain provinces. It stretches for a little over 200 kilometers. It cuts through some of the remote and rugged regions of New Britain. For the people who live here, this will be the first time a good road will be built into their area. The Asian road contractor KK Connection is stationed along the highway to construct the road. Our journey began here at Malasite, about 50 kilometers from Kokopo. But as the journey gets longer, the ride becomes uncomfortable. It took about 5 hours to reach the government outstation at Open Bay. The main road construction ends here, and the remainder of the trip to Kimbe runs through this road, built and used by an Asian logging company who have logged here over the last 10 years. The journey to Kimbe from Kokopo requires a 10-hour drive on a 4-wheel drive vehicle through some of the most difficult terrains. This is the Pandi River, the last leg of the Kokopo to Kimbe trip before crossing over to Ulamona in West New Britain. When the river floods, it becomes impossible for vehicles. A proposed bypass hasn't yet been built. This was one of the very few journeys made from East to West New Britain province. Only a few people have made successful attempts to cross over on vehicles into West New Britain territory on a relatively dry season. Many haven't tried because of the fear of being washed away by the strong current of the river. This trip was organized by the Kokopo Police about 2 weeks ago to assess and evaluate the road condition of the new highway, and amongst them was the East New Britain Governor Eremento Baining Jr. Like any other new developments in the country, it brings with it new challenges. The East and West New Britain Police are cautious on the level of security risks that the highway will bring. First, East New Britain Province have seen a noticeable increase in the number of people flocking into the province over the last 3 years, and the number of squatters and the level of crime in the province have increased significantly over the last 2 years. And the commencing of the highway means more people are to come into East New Britain Province. The East and West New Britain Police have also begun negotiations with its provincial governments on how the highway will be monitored.
We also have the same views. There's a lot of sentiments spread by people of East New Britain about the highway opening up. A lot of people are scared of the influx of people coming in, and also the law and other problems which may occur. So, but this is part of development. We can't stop it. We also must take into consideration the rural population of our provinces.
At least 2 police patrol bays will be set up along the highway in the East New Britain territory. The rural police station at Open Bay and Vunapalading in the Inland Binding LLG will be upgraded to a police highway patrol base. The police say they want to make sure that their presence is felt before the highway officially opens to the public.
We will certainly have social issues, we will have economic issues involved, environment. But as I've said, I was speaking to the administration the previous day, we will have a lot of land issue problems and youth issue problems. There will be a lot of squatters as soon as we open that road.
East New Britain Governor Edwin Fidelis Jr. says he will report on the state of the highway to the government and also ask for more funding to complete the highway.
This is one of the highways, just like all the highways here in Papua New Guinea, and it is the government's priority for this road, the highway. So by 2016, we should have a full construction and final touching on the highway.
The Provincial Works Department in East and West New Britain are discouraging commuters to use the New Britain Highway until it's fully complete. Section of the road between Open Bay and Ulamona still needs major upgrade. Also, the wet crossing over Toriu and Pandi rivers remain a dangerous zone for vehicles during bad weather. The East and West New Britain provincial governments say they will seek funding from the 2016 national budget to complete the highway. A full construction for the remainder of the highway is expected to begin next year. Once complete, it will be the main link connecting East and West New Britain provinces for the first time in many years.
The Autonomous Bougainville Government can now govern its own education system following the successful launching of the Bougainville Education Act 2013. The launching held in Arawakiti district of central Bougainville attracted hundreds, the way forward for peace and reconciliation on the island. 101 powers and functions have been transferred from the National Education Department to the Bougainville Education Department to run its own system. National Education Department Acting Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra congratulated Bougainville for the achievement in the history of education after the Civil War and spoke on education as the key and foundation to a successful future like the new autonomous region of Papua New Guinea heading to its referendum.
We are very happy with the foundation of the national education system in Bougainville. The groundwork that has happened over the last 5 years, since 2011, up to this stage, we're very happy with the progress that we have made to mark this milestone. This has been indicated in a recent National Research Report by the National Research Institute that education in Bougainville has progressed well ahead of many other provinces that do not have a similar experience as Bougainville.
Dr. Combra explained with the new act that comes with many powers and responsibilities, and the Autonomous Bougainville Government have the decision whether to maintain or restructure the education system, curriculum, where to set up schools, teachers with terms and conditions.
All this will come with a lot of powers and functions, which also it will require a lot of resources. It will also require you to have a lot of responsibility and ownership. And these are functions and powers that we have to manage in such a way that we ensure implementation is happening in a phase that we can be able to handle and have the capacity to handle. Because if we take too many powers and want to implement without looking at the implications it will have, we might destroy the future of the country, of the Bougainville region. So you must give some time now, look good. You can rush one time, all the power you give some long end. Work slowly, and as the capacity decides, as your resources decide, you can look how you can implement the nuclear system and the nuclear power block Education Act.
Give me EDUCA, give me TION, education, brighten my future. Give me EDUCA, give me TION, education, strength for my tomorrow, true prosperity.
Teaching Service Commissioner Policy Samson Wangihomi said teachers' welfare, salaries and other terms and conditions will be under their jurisdiction. But the biggest challenge is the drawdown of all powers.
On power of the Teaching Service Commission, we play in a holy. Long all provinces, long Papua New Guinea, we play delegated. But the autonomous region of Bougainville, we play transferred. That's it. There are two different things. We will transfer him all powers he come. Long department secretary. So we will over planning power. We will hold him some like stamp. And some we will hold him stamp yet. Any to do with appeals. Suppose Department of Education Bougainville, you broke him law, teacher you broke him law now, only disciplining you. Now you know how much this is law, you can appeal to us. Right? And we will look after you there. What we think is a drafting instruction. But we leave it to you to decide how you want to entertain the teaching service within your education system. The Teaching Service Commission understands capacity issues, resource issues, and other issues that come with it.
Bougainville Acting Education Secretary Mary Remy thanked all stakeholders for their commitment and support in ensuring this important legislation was enacted for the prosperity of education in the autonomous region of Bougainville.
Therefore, I am confident of that support for us to ensure that that act is implemented for the betterment for our children who will become our future leaders. It requires commitment from all of us, as outlined earlier, to effectively manage and lead the delivery of quality education.
The purpose of the Bougainville Education Act is to ensure, to provide for the establishment and implementation of the Bougainville education system and other related purposes. National Education Minister Nick Kuman said the National Education Department and Teaching Service Commission will continue to support the process of transfer of powers and functions until all are fully drawn down. That includes training and support.
And the Secretary for Education alluded earlier with a direct report. Bougainville produced some of the best brains in Papua New Guinea before independence and immediately after independence of Papua New Guinea. And they continue to provide and support the development of Papua New Guinea. And therefore, it is important, after the national government and the people of Bougainville go through a reconciliation process, it is important for the government to decentralize some of the core functions into the autonomous region of Bougainville. And education is a very key government social sector that it must come to autonomous region of Bougainville. And now you've got the Education Act for Bougainville.
Whenever happy, stop along.